I eat over 3,000 calories a day and sit around 12% body fat all year. And today, I'm going to show you how. We'll cover the 3 pillars I use to stay lean all year, why they work, and how you can copy them starting today. So full screen the video and let's lock in, lads. Back in 2018, I made every mistake in the book when it comes to losing weight. That's around the time I first heard about calorie deficits, and I thought the bigger the deficit, the faster the results. Makes sense, right? So I dropped all the way down to 1,500 calories per day. I completely cut out carbs because the gym bros online said that they were the enemy. I stopped eating fat because I thought that fat would make me fat. I forced myself to eat clean every single day, and I completely avoided chocolate, which I absolutely loved, by the way, for months because I thought that even one square would completely throw me off track and set me back all the way to the beginning. But the truth is, I was miserable. I went to bed hungry pretty much every single night, and honestly, I even cried myself to sleep on several occasions, only to wake up exhausted, irritable, and completely unable to focus. I thought I was being disciplined. I thought I was doing everything right. I was actually proud of my willpower. I thought this is just how dieting works. Thankfully, over the last 6 years, I've learned a lot. And since then, I've become a qualified nutritionist and I've personally coached hundreds of guys all over the world. And what's crazy is that pretty much every single guy who has come to me since then has made every single mistake that I made back then. So I can tell you this with full confidence. Your metabolism isn't broken. It's underfueled. You see, as we get older, we naturally lose muscle, but not necessarily fat. In fact, if we were to plot age on the horizontal axes and muscle and fat as 2 lines on the graph, muscle would come down like this and fat tends to go up like that. And less muscle means lower energy, smaller appetite, and less movement across the day. So when you undereat, you make that cycle 10 times worse. You see, food is our fuel. Less food means less energy in the tank. Less energy in the tank doesn't just mean that your step count is naturally going to decline. It also means that your training intensity is going to go down too. Lower training intensity means it's much harder for you to retain muscle. So you're not too old to lose weight. You're just stuck in the wrong energy loop. The problem is that diet culture makes that loop feel like the only option. But the moment, and I do mean the moment, that you start fueling your body properly, everything changes. Your energy, your movement, your hunger, your training, even your sleep. And that's why pillar number 1 that I'm going to take you through today is all about fueling your body properly. Because honestly, nothing works until you fix this. It's funny though, isn't it? Because when you first start a diet, when you first put yourself into a calorie deficit, you can get away with eating a significant amount less than you normally do. And you feel okay for the first week or 2. But that's only because your body is holding on to a surplus of energy. You see, when you eat carbohydrates, your body converts that sugar into something called glucose. But if your body doesn't need the glucose right then and there, it will convert it into something called glycogen. So when you combine the spark of motivation that we all get at the beginning of a diet with the fact that your fuel tanks are full to the brim, it's easy to see why a diet can be relatively easy for the first week or 2. But after a couple of weeks, that's when things start to get a little bit tricky. And slowly, sometimes without you even realizing it, there's a temptation to skip workouts or to just do a few less reps or sets than you normally would, to drop from 10,000 to 8,000 steps a day. And what's crazy is that subconsciously, you're going to start moving less too, whether it's tapping your legs, clicking your fingers, moving from side to side, body language. I've even seen guys start to blink slower. And before you know it, you're burning 500 calories less a day, which completely negates the deficit that you created in the first place. So the TLDR here is that low calories kills your energy. It may work as a short-term solution, but it's not a long-term plan that's going to help you lose a significant amount of body fat. Because one of the biggest impacts of you being underfueled is the fact that your training intensity is really going to suffer. And what most guys don't realize is muscle is metabolic tissue. That means it's active. It's burning calories 24/7, which means the more lean muscle that you have, the higher your maintenance calorie number is. The higher your maintenance calorie number is, the more calories that you can get away with eating while still losing body fat. But if you're living on 1,500 calories for a significant amount of time, you are just not going to be able to push that hard in the gym. Or worse still, you're going to get ill, you're going to pick up an injury, and you're going to have to miss a whole week of training. And forget progressive overload, you ain't getting stronger either. So if you lose muscle fat loss slows down in the long term. But eating more isn't just about eating whatever you want. It's about fueling the machine. And the moment I increased my calories, my body started working with me rather than against me. I woke up with a spring in my step. I had more drive. I was a heck of a lot stronger in the gym. And because I was seeing results, I wanted to go back for more. I got addicted to the progress again. And when you're in that spot, the whole thing doesn't feel forced. You're actually enjoying it. It might sound crazy to you, but these days I'm eating over 3,000 calories a day, which is just under my maintenance calorie number of 3,220. And I know that's accurate because I literally just use my very own calorie calculator. So in case you want to check that you're eating the right number of calories, I'll leave a link to it in the description underneath this video. It's completely free. It's only going to take you 15 seconds to use. And as well as giving you your calorie deficit, I'm also going to give you your protein, your carbs, and your fats, all 3 macronutrients completely for free. More food gives you more energy, and more energy means you're going to move more, and it's movement that makes you lean. But it's not just about making sure that you're eating enough calories to fuel yourself properly. It's also about making sure that you balance your macros in the right way. And that's exactly what pillar number 2 is all about. Every diet demonizes something. Keto demonizes carbs, low fat demonizes fat, vegans demonize eating meat, and carnivores seem to demonize eating anything but meat. But the reality is, all 3 of your macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fat, play an equally important role when it comes to your nutrition. Now, I know that there is plenty of conflicting advice when it comes to this on the internet. I know that a lot of people are going to say, but you're not a doctor, Doug, so what do you know? I know you're going to say that your favorite influencer has told you to put a block of butter in your coffee. And I know when it comes to our food, when it comes to our diet, when it comes to our nutrition, we all have a lot of very entrenched limiting beliefs. After all, what I say all the time is nutrition is 10% maths, 20% science, and 70% psychology. But what I always say to people is that if you don't want to look like the guys giving this advice, why are you listening to them? Listen, I am not saying that I am perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but a lot of these guys who are spouting this extreme advice online look ill. They look malnourished. They look pale. They look weak. And I don't know about you, but that ain't the look I'm going for. If that's your look, that's absolutely fine. I'm not criticizing that. And you'll feel free to take out all your pent up sexual frustration on me in the comment section. That's fine. But if you've been following this advice for a few months or even a few years and it's not been getting you anywhere, or it's been keeping you stuck in these cycles, then give me a few more minutes and I'll walk you through exactly how you can do it, and hopefully how you can enjoy your diet a little bit more and give you a lot more freedom with your food. Because I'm not really a fan of just telling people what to do and expecting them to follow blindly. I can sit here and just reel off lists of advice and tips and tricks and hacks for you, but I think it's far more valuable for me to sit here and help you to understand why I'm asking you to do what I am. This is why I started the YouTube channel in the first place. This is why I don't do much on Instagram or TikTok, because I think these 5-second reels don't really help anyone. At the end of the day, we don't have an information problem anymore. Google, YouTube, and then ChatGPT came along, and they're all free. You don't need to watch a 10 or a 20-minute YouTube video if you just want the information. You can literally just go on ChatGPT, type it all out, and it'll give it to you like that. But I'd like to think the majority of you are here for the context. So let's get into that at a very high level, because I've done individual videos that dive into much more detail on each of the 3 macronutrients. Protein is designed to help you build and maintain the lean muscle mass, keep your blood sugar levels stable, and to keep you feeling full. And it does this because protein is much harder as a macronutrient to digest and to break down than carbohydrates or fats. It sits in your stomach for longer, which means it sends signals up to your brain to reduce the amount of ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone in your blood system, and increase the amount of leptin, which is your satiety hormone. And as a result of the fact that it's harder for your body to digest, it also requires more calories to do so, because digestion is a metabolic process. So that's protein. Carbs, despite what a lot of people will tell you on the internet, are your body's preferred source of fuel. Yes, you can absolutely burn fat for energy, but the problem with what you do when you do that is that it means that you're not using the fat for what it's meant for. You see, fat is designed to make it easier for your body to absorb and digest certain vitamins and minerals. It's also designed to help your hormone system, your endocrine system, and it's designed to help support your immunity. So If you're on a ketogenic diet, which is essentially where you're just cutting out carbs completely and you're getting all of your energy from fat, it means that the fat you're eating cannot be used for its primary purpose because your body and your brain are always going to prioritize the calories for fuel, for energy, to keep you alive. And that's why, as a general rule of thumb, I'd always recommend that you aim for about 30% of your diet coming from protein, 30% from fat, and 40% from carbohydrates. Now, you don't need to stress and make those numbers absolutely exact. And obviously, there's 8 or 9 billion people on the planet. I can't just sit here and give you a cookie cutter approach. But as I say, as a general rule of thumb, that's a great place to aim for. The other thing I would say about your macros when you first start tracking them on an app like MyFitnessPal or MacroFactor, neither of which I'm affiliated with, by the way, is that you will spot gaps in your existing nutrition. Most people, when they first join my coaching program and we start them tracking their macros and their calories, are eating a lot less protein than they thought they were. So I might have set them a target of 120 or 150 grams per day, but in their first week, they're only hitting 70 or 80. That's absolutely fine. The goal over time is to ladder up towards their target. And is exactly the same with your carbs and your fats. The other thing to say here is that some people are more fat adaptive and some people are more carb adaptive. In other words, some people naturally eat more fat than carbs and vice versa. It's not a big deal. It's just about finding what works for you. But what you want to avoid is demonizing any one of these 3 macronutrients. And as well as the overall health benefits that you're going to get from this, it's going to stop your binging, it's going to stop your cravings, and I think most important of all, it's going to completely cut out this all or nothing mindset. And when you stop fearing foods and balance your macros properly, fat loss becomes simple and it becomes sustainable. And if you want to see how this works in real life, what I've done is gone ahead and put 15 of my favorite high protein, fat burning meals into a free recipe book. You're going to see firsthand that healthy eating doesn't need to be expensive, doesn't need to be complicated, and doesn't need to be requiring perfect meals. And the best part is, all of the meals in the recipe book take less than 15 minutes to make, and they follow the principle that I'm teaching you today. So if you want to grab it, you can go ahead and click the second link in the description underneath the video. But we are far from done, because none of this works if you don't have pillar number 3 in place. Because pillar number 3 is the one that makes all of this sustainable. It's the one that gives you structure, and it's the one that makes your diet enjoyable. I think the biggest game changer for me when it comes to nutrition, once I've figured out my calories and balanced my macros, was creating some real structure with my diet. Having some basic principles in place, which means I don't need to overthink it. Principles that are super simple and easy to remember. And more importantly, easy to stick to. So the first of these is that I'm making sure I'm eating mostly whole single ingredient foods. It's very nutrient dense. And what you find when you start eating in this way is that whatever your calorie target is, 2,500, it's actually quite difficult to hit, because you realize that the majority of the calories that you are eating are coming from stuff that doesn't really serve you, whether it's the ultra processed snacks, the fast food, the booze, the sugary drinks, the condiments, the oil that you're cooking with, or the desserts that you're binging on at the weekends. Not only does this stuff add 0 nutritional value, but it doesn't fill you up and it causes havoc on your gut microbiome. But that's not to say that I'm cutting this stuff out altogether, because as we know, as soon as we remove something, as soon as we restrict something, we think about it more. It's like the purple elephant experiment. I tell you to not think about a purple elephant, and now all you're thinking about, even I'm thinking about it, is a purple elephant. So if I sit here and say, you can't have chocolate anymore, you can't have crisps anymore, you can't have cake, you can't drink beer. I mean, A, you're going to hate me very quickly, and you're probably not going to listen to me. But B, you're going to develop a very unhealthy relationship with this stuff. You're going to restrict yourself and restrict yourself and restrict yourself. But then one day you're going to crack and you're going to be going, just shoveling it into your mouth. So I would rather that you build in one snack or one treat that you love and look forward to every single day without fail, rather than taking massive cheat days. You just have one thing every single day. Obviously, it needs to fit within your calories, but this one snack, this one treat, it's what's going to keep you sane. And you need to be sane for your diet to be sustainable. And then lastly, is to make your diet boring. Now, that might sound a little bit counterintuitive, but hear me out. You see, we're conditioned to believe by society that variety is the spice of life. But I'm going to call BS on that, because for the last few years, I've rotated 5 or 6 meals over the course of a week. And honestly, I've never been happier with my food. The key and the challenge, and this will take a little bit of time, is finding those meals that you want to put into your rotation. But hopefully that's where the recipe book is going to help you. But at the very least, what I'd encourage you to do is to eat the same breakfast every single day. For me, that's 70 grams of bran flakes, 200 grams of Greek yogurt, and 10 grams of honey. It gives me my protein, my carbs, and my fats. It tastes good. It takes less than 5 minutes to make. It fills me up, and it stops any sugar spikes in the middle of the morning. And again, I'm not saying you have to eat that or you have to eat those exact amounts. Of course, that is adjusted for my caloric intake. But I have had that same meal every single day for 6 years now. So you see, the more repetition, the more structure that you have in place when it comes to your nutrition, the better. Because your body, more importantly, your brain, it loves patterns. It loves predictability. And this can work for you, but it can also work against you. For example, if your brain is used to getting alcohol every single night, you start to develop a dependency for it. Whereas if you haven't drunk in 10 weeks and you go and have a few beers with the boys, you're going to feel that the next day. And it's exactly the same with your food. I'm sure you've experienced this. If you eat really well for a couple of weeks and then you go out for a big meal, the next day your stomach is in bits. So I'm not saying that you have to have chicken, rice, and broccoli 3 times a week, 7 days a week. I'm not even saying that you have to eat the same 3 meals every single day, but I can assure you, having done it myself and having coached hundreds of guys over the last 6 years, that one of the best things you can do is bring in some predictability when it comes to your diet. In my opinion, having 4 or 5 meals in your rotation with the same breakfast every single day is a great start point. And this means that you're not having to introduce weird rules. You're not having to overthink your diet. You're not having to cut out the things you enjoy, like chocolate or beer or pizza. And once you nail this, once you've got your meals in your rotation and you know that they hit your calories and they're a nice balanced mix of your macronutrients, you don't even need to track your calories anymore. So this structure is enough to stop overeating, but it's also enough to give you the freedom to enjoy life. And when you follow a simple structure, you stay full, you stay consistent, and you stay energized. Skipping meals in your 20s might have worked for you back then, but it's not going to work now. You can't build muscle on fumes. You can't move more when you're starving, but you don't need to go harder. You need to fuel smarter. Eating more is not a weakness. Eating more is not you giving up. Eating more is an upgrade. It's not the problem. This is the solution. You wake up energized. Your training feels better. You hit your steps without forcing it. You enjoy your food. You feel full between meals and you're not snacking out of boredom. You don't binge at night. And I think the most important thing, you stop feeling guilty. You feel calmer, clearer, and stronger. But I appreciate we've covered a lot today. So here's what I wanted to take from this as a quick summary. Number 1, you don't need to starve yourself. You don't need a complicated meal plan, and you certainly don't need to avoid the stuff that you love the most. And number 2, you don't need another diet. Remember the 3 pillars. Food is your fuel. Every macro is important, and creating structure and flexibility in your plan is what's going to help you to get the win that you want. And I can promise you, when you start following these 3 rules, these 3 pillars, you're going to finally escape dieting for good. But if you're tired of doing this alone and you're sick of being stuck in the same cycle, then I'd love to help. I've just rebuilt my coaching program from the ground up, and now it's the simplest and the fastest way to guarantee that you lose anything from 20 to 30 pounds in 2026. And more importantly, you're going to learn the skills you need to actually keep it off for good. So if you want to find out how it works, go ahead and click the 3rd link underneath this video. Or if you are brand new to my channel and you've just stumbled across this video by chance and you're thinking, I don't know this guy from Adam, I'm not ready for his coaching program, that's absolutely fine. What I recommend you do is click this video right here, where I walk you through exactly what I would do if I woke up 30 pounds overweight tomorrow and needed to lose it all by next summer. This is a real deep dive. So click here, go and check that one out, and I'll see you there. Peace.